Nityananda, Holocaust. It's a term which is etched deeply in all our collective memory, the collective consciousness. This is the term which refers to one of the most grievous injustices and massacres that has happened in the human history, that of the Jewish people during the Nazi Germany. Today we are commemorating the Hindu Holocaust Day. Now, viewers, you would be asking this question: what is Hindu Holocaust? And what is this Hindu Holocaust Day? So today we have with us Sharveshwara Maharaj, and we will be discussing about the Hindu Holocaust Observance Day and why it is commemorated. What is the history behind it? Maharaj, can you tell our viewers, first of all, Holocaust, we usually denote this term for the Jewish Holocaust. Now, what is this Hindu Holocaust?
So, Maharaj, first and foremost, when we talk about the Hindu Holocaust or just the Holocaust, the typical idea that we have is about the Holocaust of the Jewish people, the brutal killing, the genocide that
Yes.
was done against around 10 million Jewish people. But now, today, we are talking about the Hindu Holocaust. The Hindu Holocaust, the most brutalist massacre in the entire human history of the most peaceful civilization, the most peaceful people, the bloodiest massacre and genocide, mass killing, rape, gang rape, killing of children, burning people alive, forced conversion, and the total number is 500 million. So, this is the difference between when we say Hindu Holocaust and just a Holocaust.
So, just the sheer difference in magnitude is astounding. 10 million for the Jewish people and 500 million for how many Hindus have been genocided in last 2000 years. Now, natural question is, why do we not know about it? Why our, at least even if we talk about the Hindu youth, right? We have grown up with our all our schooling and everything, but we have never really come across this, neither this term nor this number, nor even the history, any history which is even closely related or tells this story of what really happened to these 500 million people. It's like a disappeared civilization and nobody really knows what happened.
Exactly, and that is the reason why we need to commemorate, why we need to observe the Hindu Holocaust Day. We need to understand what our history is, and these are not made up numbers. These are numbers which have been compiled by the very people who perpetrated these crimes on our
Mhm.
ancestors, who did these mass killings. Their court officers, their historians, their statisticians, and even contemporary authors taking the data from the past and just organizing it. All of them have concluded on these numbers. For example, if we go back to the colonial era, we come to the understanding that around 50 million people died just out of man made hunger. 50
50
million.
million.
50 million people died
Mhm.
just out of man made hunger. That is more than the population of several countries even today.
So, by man made hunger, you mean the famines which were induced during the British policies, right? British rule.
And that is something which we are not even, we never speak about, we are never taught about.
Mm.
But if you look at in the Western countries, you have Western authors, some maybe from Britain and even from the US, they are writing books about it. One of the books
Mm.
name is The Great Victorian Holocaust. So
Mm.
they are acknowledging this is a Holocaust. They are calling it the Great Victorian as a mockery.
Mhm.
But fundamentally, it is a Holocaust that is acknowledged. It is not something which is not mainstream, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, we do not know about it.
Mhm.
Our people do not know about, and this I am talking about a small number. When we go
Yes.
back to the history more during the Mughal invasions and during the barbaric invasions, the numbers are far, far bigger. And even the anecdotal descriptions of what happened in a very glorifying way, all the crimes against humanity which have been done have been described in great length and detail by the historians.
Actually, when you told about the famine, right, the hunger, the induced hunger by the British during the British colonization, there's a very recent powerful presidential address which the Supreme Court of Hinduism gave regarding this. We will come to that, what he actually addressed, how it changed, it has altered the very DNA of Hindus. But we will come to that after a while. I want to ask you one more question. Hindu Holocaust, as you've explained. Now, Hindu Holocaust Day, right? Why only today?
Yes. So today is when we observe the macroscopic Hindu Holocaust being mapped in the life of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the avatar of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Sri Nityananda Paramashiva, who was reviving the Hindu civilizational nation, reviving more than 21 kingdoms, ancient indigenous kingdoms, sovereign territories, ecclesiastical authorities.
Mhm.
He was reviving all of them. And as we understand, the tallest leaders are attacked the most. So the most bloodiest attack happened against our beloved Guru, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, on this very day, the 2nd March. But before we go to the detail, we need to see the macro print, and then we
Mm.
will see how it happened in the micro level.
Yes.
We will see the pattern in that characters will change, situations will change, the template remains the same, and end result remains same.
So, fundamental aspect, the context here, right, about this whole Hindu Holocaust that has been happening, and then the attack on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who has taken up the responsibility to revive, to first protect, preserve, and revive the ancient indigenous Hindu civilizational nation. The core context remains the same of how the anti-Hindu forces are trying to destroy the civilizational nation, the Hindu civilizational nation, and this same blueprint has been applied in various by using various tools, tactics, strategies from time to time, whatever works best. And now, at the same time, whatever works best now they are using. Where it comes to media or how to use technology, they are using as per today's. But the core context and the core mission of these forces remains the same, that is to sabotage and destroy the indigenous civilization. In fact, it's not just the Hindu civilization, right? There were 40, more than 45 ancient indigenous civilizations which were flourishing all across the planet. Out of those, only one civilization is now remaining, still standing. All the others have been completely destroyed and wiped out by these colonial, non spiritual, barbaric, power hungry forces whose only aim is to destroy all these indigenous civilizations. And now, the only one last standing civilization, which is the last standing nail or the obstruction for their project, is the Hindu civilization, right? So they are using all these political tools, warfare, lawfare, directly attacking, directly destroying, colonizing, or using the so-called legal means and legally illegal means and illegally legal means to finish off these indigenous civilizations. And all these indigenous civilizations have the Hindu civilization as the mother civilization, as a core epicenter of the entire spiritual ecosystem that was once present on planet Earth, right? So, in this context, let's discuss how this attack on the indigenous leaders has been going on, and how the attack on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is very crucial in this manner.
So first, let us look at the macroscopic view. So
Mhm.
when we look at the macroscopic view, we will understand that how systematically this sophisticated attack has been going on for centuries. So we have with us a sketch of the ancient Hindu civilizational nation as it was spread all the way from Gandhar.
Mhm.
In fact, much far away from Gandhar. If we go to the Rig Vedas and our scriptures, we will find that there is the name of a city called Parshu.
Mm-hmm.
It has been described in the Rig Vedas. It is even there today in Iraq.
Okay.
So from there all the way to Kaddaram, all the way till Malaysia, the civilizational nation, Hindu civilizational nation was present, and actually even all the indigenous people all around the world, they are part of the Hindu civilizational or indigenous civilizational, the original people, the first nations of the world.
Yes.
Now, what happens after few years? This is how the Hindu civilization nation was during the time of Mahabharata war around 5000 years ago, and this is how it is today.
Mm.
Now, the important understanding that we need to have is, yes, Hindu Dharma, Hinduism, the Hindu religion is Sanatana, without a beginning, without an end, but it can be wiped off from the geography.
Mm.
So the Hindu Holocaust, which has happened, the bottom line, which is happening in our lives, in the lives of contemporary Hindus, is that we are losing
Mm.
Hinduism. In the way we are losing the people, we are getting wiped off. We think that it cannot be destroyed, we just take it for granted. So it is in this context we need to understand. Just an example, we'll be getting back to it again. If we look at just an example of how this attack has happened in a micro level against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, we will realize that when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was attacked, that time the entire Tamil Nadu, the state of entire Tamil Nadu had numerous centers, numerous temples, and just within a day of the attack, we will see that all of them were burnt, shut
Mm.
down, destroyed, and wiped off. So this is a microscopic projection of the same Hindu Holocaust.
So how the whole Hindu ecosystem has completely shrunk on a macro scale for the last 2000 years. Same thing happened as when the whole ecosystem which was created by, or we can say revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, how that also got shrunk completely due to these very vicious attacks that happened on him.
And that also in a single day. So we are in
Hmm.
the map which is projected. There were more than 50 temples and centers which were simultaneously, rapidly attacked in a single day in an orchestrated attack. How is it possible that if
Hmm.
people are just agitated or if people are just angry, they will simultaneously, in a very short time, overnight,
Hmm.
in 50 different geographical locations, go with cameras, record as they are breaking the monasteries, the temples, and setting them on fire and trying to kill people, trying
Hmm.
to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. How of everything is coordinated in 50 different locations with cameramen in position on time to go live with everything set up.
So it was pre-planned, orchestrated, masterminded by the
Exactly.
forces.
And that is where we need to understand that the Hindu Holocaust, which has been happening, is not an accident. It is a science. It is literally a science, and there have been a lot of study which has been done on the 8 steps of genocide by Jeffrey Stanton
Mhm.
for the U.S. Government, and also when we map that to the Hindu Holocaust, to the Hindu genocide, we understand how these elements work.
Okay. So we can understand, see, for our viewers and from our the viewers' point of view, just trying to contextualize it, what we are trying to really say here. First, the fact that the indigenous civilization, in particular in our case, the Hindu civilization nation, is under attack, and it's not just a new thing. It has been happening for 2000 years. We have just shown you how much the area has completely shrunk. Many of our Hindu friends keep on saying and uttering that, it is Sanatana Dharma, it is eternal. Who will, it can never really shrink. The Dharma itself is Sanatana, but the territory has completely shrunk. The people following it are not there anymore, right? Maybe in some other lokas they continue to follow, but on planet earth this is the situation, and it becomes important for us Hindus, the Hindu youth in particular, to take note of this serious situation, right? We all know what is happening all around the world, the geopolitical situation, the wars and everything that is happening. territory is shrinking. Hindus don't have a place which they can really call their own, where their laws apply. There is not a single place. There is not a place where any Hindu Vedas and Agamas are the constitution, right? We think there are nations which will protect Hindus, but if we really go into what is happening, even with Hindu gurus in those very countries, so called nation states, they are not really Hindu in nature.
Exactly. And we need to understand the importance of an ecosystem. I'll give you an example. When we go to Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple of Shamla Pitha Sarvanya Pitha, whose 293rd pontiff, Guru Mahasanidhanam, is Swamiji, the supreme pontiff of Hinduism. If you go to the Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple for Paliyari or Paliyachi, means the rituals when the deities are woken up or put to bed.
Okay.
Every morning, if you go there, you will have a fixed crowd of around 500 to 1000 people. Every morning, they will religiously go to the temple. You will see ladies, old ladies, more than 60 years or maybe even 70 years old, they will be so eagerly waiting. I will tell a particular scene which I saw. One senior lady was sliding below the barricades. It was just this much height. She was sliding below that and going front in the line so that she doesn't miss the glimpse. The first glimpse of the deity after the deity has woken up. Yeah. And now let us understand this thing. Imagine any film star in any part of the world, if you like them or anybody is their fan following, can you have the same excitement every single day since the day you are born or since the day you cognize for 80, 70 years of your life? Can you have such a craze for any human being? Or
not at all.
You cannot have it. But here you have people who are having that same craze every single morning. They are going and their eyes are filled with devotion, love for the deity, for Meenakshi Amman, Chokanatha, Lord Sundareshwara, and they are so deeply connected. Every morning they come. And if you miss, if you are also coming every morning, if you miss, they will remind you, hey, you didn't come that day. This is the power of an ecosystem. It creates such people. You just be there, you live there, and you get that energy. That is the Hindu nation. When the whole ecosystem is living enlightenment, practicing enlightenment, when you finish them off, yes, you might have in your birth certificate written that you are a Hindu, but you will not be having that ecosystem which is needed to be practicing Hindu. When we are losing territory, we are losing Hinduism from our hearts. Our heart, our being is a territory. The subtle ecosystem which is around the temple, that is a territory. The legally owned land of the temple, yes, that is also a territory. Maybe that territory continues to be Hindu, but in that the software and the people, the programming which is done on them, that is being completely deleted, that is being destroyed by delegitimization, hate speech, false misinformation, and systematic misinformation campaign, propaganda, and repeating them non-stop. So when this destroys, you have nowhere to go. You can go to any geographical location. That is why it is important to preserve our enlightenment ecosystem, because this is the only religion in the whole world which gives you enlightenment, which gives you your whole life is for getting liberated. You don't go to hell or heaven.
So I think that's where the role of the guru really comes in, because it's not just, for example, I'll give you an example. For example, if we talk about Kashmir, right? Kashmiri Hindus, what has happened to them? So yes, there is a voice among them that okay, we'll relocate to that same territory, or we'll have a piece of land which we will call our own. Great, but that is not enough, because it's not just having your own territory. Of course, that is crucial, that is paramount. If you don't have that, then you don't even have anything, right? But fundamentally, it is about having that ecosystem, not just the laws, but having that temple based ecosystem which is really run by the guru.
Exactly. And there's a very important word in our Shastras for that. It is called Guru Satta. We'll show you the Shastra Pramana exactly. Guru Satta is a proper word which was coined and it is mentioned in the scriptures written by Adi Shankara himself when he is describing how an enlightenment ecosystem should function. How the Raj Satta, the kings, should not interfere with the Guru Satta. That is what a Hindu nation is, where the Guru has sovereign status, because it is only the Guru who can create, revive, preserve such powerful enlightenment systems.
It is only Guru who can really transmit that signs of enlightenment, that initiation, that Diksha will come only from the Guru to the disciples, and then they pass on to the future generation. That is how they nourish and nurture the whole Hindu ecosystem, right? Ultimately, Hinduism is, it's not just about, okay, our forefathers had this identity, so we will continue that identity. It's not just about that identity. It is the signs of going beyond all identities. That is to experience the real truth. It is for truth seekers. And most of the indigenous cultures knew that. They knew this science, they had tapped into this science. But all of them have been wiped out by these anti spiritual forces, these demonic forces who don't want people to realize their true purpose. And it is the gurus who really keep this purpose alive on planet Earth, who keep on reminding people, and not just reminding people, but give them that experience so that they can actually achieve it, they can experience it. That's why so much of attack on gurus, isn't it? And as you said, for example, what Shankaracharya, the Adi Shankara, when he came and how he established, he also revived the Sanatana Hindu Dharma during his time and established the Guru Satta again by establishing the four mutts. And how we will go into that also, how he made them the gurus, the Shankaracharyas of all the four pithas, as the sovereign heads, dharmic heads of their own regions. And even the kings did not have the authority to intervene in their matters.
Exactly. And it is recorded in the Shastras, and it is also recorded in their king's own copper plates, records which are recorded in the copper plate inscriptions. Both are consistently telling the king has given an executive order binding, which is binding for his entire generations to come, that they are not going to interfere in Guru Satta. And they have beautifully described it. We'll be looking at that.
Yes.
But before we go ahead, we need to have a quick glance of why we need to observe the Hindu Holocaust Day. So, the supreme point of Hinduism has again and again reminded us and told us about this, that yes, we started with 56 Hindu nations during the time of Mahabharata, and how we lost one nation after another. So, if we look at it, every nation by nation which we lost, how much was the Hindu population a few years ago and what it is now? When we look at it, we will understand how much we have lost. So in this, we see Afghanistan or Gandhar, where Gandhari came during Mahabharata. The
Yes.
queen, she
Yes.
was from Afghanistan.
Yes.
Just 700, I mean, just some 1300 years ago, it was a Hindu majority nation, Hindu and Buddhist majority nation. And today the population is not even 0.3%. And let's go further. If we go to Sri Lanka, for example, just around 1,000 years, it was a Hindu majority nation, Hindu and Buddhist, but vastly Hindu majority nation. And today the population is less than 12%.
So rapidly shrinking, rapidly dwindling Hindu population all across the planet, we can say. Even in Bharat, this is the story. We will come to that, what is happening even in the Bharat, the homeland, right, where it all originated. The whole ecosystem, the way it is shrinking, and not just in territory, even in the brain level, the mind level.
Exactly.
What the Hindu youth, how they are experiencing and seeing, looking at Hinduism is entirely different than how even the generation before was practicing.
Exactly. So before we come to that, we need to understand a important, simple understanding with the supreme point of Hinduism had shared with us. So now here we are seeing Pakistan, the present day Pakistan, which was Kushan, the nation Kushan, Hindu nation. And then we see 1,000 years ago there was 100% Hindu population, and today we don't have more than 2% population. And in just in the last um 50 years ago, if we look at the population, it was close to 30% Hindus. The 30% Hindus, it just fell to 2% in last 50 years or so. So what we need to understand is, when, if you look at our history, the time when the Bangladeshi Hindus were getting massacred, brutally massacred. We have some pictures. We'll just have a quick glance over those pictures. So this is a real picture of a rape victim during the Bangladesh um, Hindu genocide
Genocide,
of
yes.
1971,
Mm-hmm.
around 400,000 women were gang raped
Mm-hmm.
by the occupying powers, by the military forces, and they were gang raped. And all these are in record and photographed.
Mm-hmm.
We can see in front of us. It is not taught to us. And what happened when this was happening? For whatever reason, you might say people were not aware or the news was not allowed to spread. Just for an example, please understand the Kashmiri Hindus kept quiet. And what happened when in 1991, especially when the exodus peaked up against the Kashmiri Hindus, the Hindus in Tamil Nadu kept quiet. And now, when the temple destructions is happening in the southern states, the Hindus of the other states
Escaping.
are either quiet because they don't know, they are criminally negligent, they are unaware, or even if they know, they are quiet. At the end of the day, this is how we have lost 56 Hindu nations.
Yes.
We are thinking that I just need to care about what is happening around me. We don't see the larger ecosystem, how it is getting destroyed sampradaya by sampradaya. During the time of Mahabharata, we had 10,000 Hindu sampradayas. Every sampradaya specialized in one branch of the Vedas and Agamas. They specialized in a particular combination of the scriptures which would help them to realize enlightenment, to get enlightened.
Yes.
So there is a combination for every possible human being on planet Earth. Paramashiva has provided. But out of that 7,000 we have lost, we are left with 3,000. And now when we are left with these remaining 3,000, in that also, time and again, sampradaya by sampradaya, community by community, we are getting
Mm.
destroyed.
I think the worst thing that has happened to us as a Hindu youth is that we have been brainwashed to think that it's enough just to have some basic schooling, some college, some decent job, some family, kids, wife, car, and this. That's it. That's the end of life. Because if we have that kind of cognition, even if we talk to them about, okay, this is the Vedas and Agamas, and our ancestors have given their life to protect these, they will not understand what is the value of that. What is it going to, give to me as a person? That whole cognition has completely been destroyed. The whole history has been wiped out. That is one. Also, the importance, the value of Hinduism, the utility value of Hinduism has been completely uh, removed from the conscience of the Hindu youth. They have been made to believe that whatever mundane life we are living, that is the end of it. Just have a job, enjoy going to malls on weekends, and that is the end of life. That is what the good life is, right? You live only once, and all that. What we see in the Bollywood, right, where this cinema also comes into play, where the brainwashing. When we talk about the brainwashing, how we have been brainwashed by the cinema, by the news, by our books in schools, using all the tools, state tools and the non-state tools to pervade, to invade the civilizational nation, right? So the Bharat, for example, if we talk about the Bharatiya Sabhyata, Bharatiya civilization, the civilizational nation, right? That has been invaded by these anti-Hindu forces using the tools, political tools, the brands, the modern nation state, for example, the judiciary, the executive, the legislature, the media, all of these tools, these political brands, even the modern nation state is nothing but a brand, political brand, which is used to justify the occupation of the indigenous lands, which is the basic civilizational nation Bharat. It has been invaded by these political brands. The entire expanse of Bharat, for example, right, as you were showing to all our viewers, as we are seeing in the map now as well, the whole expanse from the left, from Afghanistan all the way till Cambodia. This is one civilizational nation, Bharat. It has been invaded by the political brands, be it in the name of India, be it with the name of Pakistan, or whatever it is. And these anti-spiritual forces, anti-Hindu forces are abusing and misusing these political brands and tools to carry out their mission, which they don't say straight up, but it is to carry out their mission to destroy the underlying core of the civilizational nation. So the people who belong to that civilizational nation are being brainwashed and in a way converted into these various political ideologies and political tools, and they end up completely losing touch of their core civilizational indigenous heritage itself. That is what we are really discussing here, and how attacking the Hindu gurus is the core component of this. Because once you delegitimize the gurus, or straight up destroy them, kill them, or delegitimize them, simply you can destroy the entire indigenous, that tradition which they are keeping alive.
Exactly. And we need to understand that once a tradition is destroyed, it is destroyed. It is only an incarnation, that is the supreme point of Hinduism. Only an incarnation can revive.
Yes.
And once a tradition is lost, it is wiped off. It is like a extinction of a species from planet Earth. A
Yes.
species which evolved for thousands and millions of years is lost. Just an example which we were sharing about the Madurai temple, the people, the excitement which they have.
Yes.
It is not made in one day. It is made in years and multi-generational. When we see our elders, these things get passed on.
Yes.
When we don't have such elders, that's all. You will be getting brainwashed by the modern media mafia, who will be feeding you what they need to extract money out of you, not to enrich your being.
Mm.
So that is the situation. And as Brahmasugha Maharaj was sharing, the modern nation states are weaponizing the state machinery to invade the civilizational nation, the indigenous first nations. Now, just understand, you have a modern nation state, the entire state machinery with all its power. If you use against an individual person, a Hindu guru, how disproportionate is the power and raw power and anything you can imagine, how much police force you might have, how much officers you might have to depute on a certain task, what power the judiciary will be having, what kind of money you can pour in. It is completely disproportionate. So we need to understand the attack which is happening on the indigenous nations, Hindu nations. It is not a war between two nation states of equal power. No, it is completely disproportionate, and the outcome, if not stopped, is very obvious. The indigenous nations cannot survive.
Yes. And they have not been surviving also. If we look at what has happened to these indigenous nations for last the whole colonial times, right? They're just completely wiped off. What happened in North America, right? What happened even in South America and all, even Africa, all the African indigenous traditions, they're just gone. Nobody even knows they even exist.
Exactly. If you look at the Gurukul tradition of Hinduism, in 1832 they are describing that every village. This is the report from the collected by different collectors of different states of that time India, and they cumulatively submitted the report around 1832, and it was presented in minutes of meetings also, and it is available in the archives, in the British archives. It is very clearly saying that each and every village had one school.
Hmm.
Today, it looks like an impossible task to have a school in each and every village.
Hmm.
And we had it around 200 years ago. That is fully gone. Just imagine you have a power, a foreign power, which is controlling one third of humanity. They come up and destroy your school. Can you survive? Can your school survive? It is completely disproportionate power where they are abusing their modern state apparatus in whatever brand they might bring it. They might bring it in the brand of British India, they might bring it in the brand of any India. But when you are misusing the state machinery to persecute and obliterate a minority, small, indigenous, religious, spiritual community or its leader, there is no scope that without people understanding and awakening what is happening and having the care to protect it, anything can happen. The end result is obvious, it will be destroyed. And that
Yes.
is why we need to educate ourselves by, and that is why we have today as the Hindu Holocaust Observance Day.
Yes. And it's very important for us to understand that why we are attributing this day as the commemoration of the Holocaust of all the Hindus. Because Only Swamiji, only the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, has that capacity, that capability to revive all the other sampradayas, to revive all the traditions of Sanatana Hindu Dharma with their original Vedic, Vedagamic context and Enlightenment science itself. And the anti-Hindu forces know that. They know what he is capable of doing. They know his power to revive the entire whatever our ancestors have done, why they have done, even starting from small ritual, how we start our puja, why we do the sankalpa, why we do the purification rituals, right? Anganyasa, Karanyasa, what is the science behind that? All the way up to the science of enlightenment, the various darshanas. They know his capability, that he is here to revive. He is here. He really is the business. If we talk in various plain sense, he is the business. When it comes to reviving Hinduism, he can and he is already doing, and he has successfully done it.
And exactly that is what completely made them panic. So
Yes.
this picture is from around 2007-8 period, where we can see Swamiji had initiated and started the Kodikan Yatra, where the deities of Paramashiva and Devi were taken on a procession for several lakhs of kilometers and blessing people all around the world. So we'll be looking into this another chapter.
Nityanandam, welcome back. So, as we were discussing, today we are commemorating the Hindu Holocaust Day. And Maharaj, as you have explained, the magnitude, sheer magnitude of the Hindu Holocaust when it comes to numbers, and also when it comes to the how the in various ways, inhuman ways, it has been perpetrated, and how the Hindu civilization has been tortured literally for last 2000 years and still continuing, and also how the role of the guru is paramount. It is a core in when it comes to continuity of the Hindu civilization. The very purpose of the Hindu civilization is to give enlightenment, and without guru there is no enlightenment. So guru is the center of the Hindu civilization. That is the very reason all these anti-Hindu forces have been attacking gurus left and right, and that is the very reason they also attacked the very incarnation of Paramashiva himself, the supreme pontiff of Hinduism. And this is the day today, March 2nd, when they launched their most vicious attack, right, against Swamiji. And that's why today we are commemorating the Hindu Holocaust Day. Now, the crucial point here is when it comes to, we have been discussing about history, right, how Hindu civilization has been continuously massacred, genocided by all the anti-Hindu forces, and also how various gurus are continuously targeted, right. Recent case, I want to also ask you about this recent case of how the Jyotirmat Shankaracharya, he has been, how a case has been lodged against him, and how some parties are continuously trying to frame him in this case and trying to attack him. Now, I want to discuss with you also how you look at this whole thing from this perspective of what we have been discussing. Can you shed some light on this?
So when we look at the attack which is happening right now, the attack which happened on Swamiji, on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Shri Nityananda Paramahansa, in that one attack, there were more than 700 chapters of various attacks which they did, more than 120 false cases, and more than 70 assassination attempts. With that, they literally, the anti-Hindu ecosystem, literally they perfected their attack mechanism. And now they are using it against one after another Hindu guru, whom they do not want. And that is one of the Hindu gurus, is Jyotirmat Shankaracharya Avimukteswarananda Swami ji. And what we are going to see is how the attack started on him. So just a couple of days ago, a false POXO case was filed against him. So we need to understand there are two chapters of it. One, we see that okay, there is a person who is accused of certain case, and another side we are talking about a destruction of an entire civilization. When we look at these two things, we think they don't simply correlate. It looks disjoint, but it is not. We need to understand the person who is being attacked is not a person. He's the guru. He's the guru of a pitha. He is the sovereign head, constitutional head of a Hindu civilizational nation, which has been existing for more than 2500 years. And once he is delegitimized, the entire sampradaya is wiped off. There is nobody to teach you, there is nobody to guide you, and that whole sampradaya just vanishes.
And here we are not just talking about any common guru. It's one of the four main Shankaracharyas, right? When Adi Shankaracharya came, when he landed and he revived the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, he divided the whole entire the Hindu civilizational nation Bharat into four major regions. And one of these regions, the north one, was uh, gave the responsibility to guard that entire region, the Dharma in that region, to the Shankaracharya of that region, the north region, which was the Jyotirmat Shankaracharya. It is that lineage we are talking about. He is responsible for all the Hindus, really practically speaking. And to attack him and frame him is a direct attack on all the Hindus.
Exactly, and it is not just destabilizing Jyotirmat. It is destabilizing all the four mats, and I'll tell you the reason. Because Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, who was an incarnation of Paramashiva, he made a very sophisticated system with checks and balances and assurances, and that is why the mutt has been so strong and continuing so strong for so many generations. Because in the mutt bylaws, in the mutt doctrines, the religious doctrines, and
I think it's called Mahanushasanam. Yes.
Mahanushasana. So in that it is very clearly written in the laws of that Hindu nation, if any single mutt, for some reason the Shankaracharya is not there, he's been killed, he dies untimely or something happens, the other three take responsibility and make sure the enlightenment ecosystem continues undisrupted. So now if you destabilize one, the other three are also vulnerable because their self-healing mechanism is destroyed. It is like you have, in a very crude form, if I have to say, you have RAID hard disks where you have duplicate backups. So if one hard disk fails, you have a backup copy in another hard disk. So you can manage, and that is how we keep the data safe in modern day. Now imagine if one hard disk fails, then your three is remaining, and what will happen if one by one others also fail? It is a complete collapse. And also many times what happens, the hard disk doesn't fail completely, some files might be missing. So you might be losing a part by part corruption, if not the whole system collapse in overnight. But it is not just an attack on one ecosystem, an ecosystem which survived for 2500 years, serving more than 2 billion born and practicing Hindus, that is being dismantled and crushed. It is breaking a very foolproof mechanism which has been preserved for so long. Now they are attacking and breaking it. And it starts with something which just looks like a legal case. It's not a legal case, it is a lawfare. Weaponization of legal process for warfare. And what has been done is a false allegation of POXO, child sexual abuse, has been put by a person called Ashutosh. And we need to understand that it is a third party who is putting this allegation. This is a very important pattern in all these false allegations against Hinduism, Hindu gurus, is that they always have a third party complainant who is not the victim. He is always the one who is pushing the case. A third party person who is not the victim will be filing the false case. And then what they do?
So not the main victim, somebody else comes and tries to project as if they are filing the case on their behalf.
Yes.
Right? And are even these charges, are they really genuine?
So let's look at this third party victim, and we have the second paragraph. I'm not going very far away in the order. This is actually the projection of the order sheet where this case was registered against, this false case was registered against Jyotirmat Shankaracharya. So you can see in clear red, it has been highlighted the applicant, the applicant, the applicant three times. And finally, only in the last point of the paragraph, it is as well as the affidavit of the victims. The victim looks like an afterthought. It is not even that the whole complaint is based on the victim. The victim comes last as well as the victim. The question, these complaints are not even filed with a victim because they are false. This is completely driven by a third party. This is a typical pattern. We need to understand these patterns so that we can stop them. And one more thing is there in the order, it mentions that the family, if they are putting a minor child abuse case or anything, the family should be somewhere in the picture. There's no mention of the family in the whole order. And we don't even know if the minors have been, if they are really minors. First of all, we don't know even if they are minors or they are just projected to be a certain age. If they are even in the guidance or care of their family, if they are being manipulated, we do not know that. There is no mention of the family, and the whole application is filled by applicant, 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 different.
So, even if we leave that whole minor aspect, even if we just talk about the charges which have been applied in this case, it is very clear looking at the victim's face. They would not even know about all this, the complications about all these various charges and how they have been worded and how the language has been applied.
Actually, that is very true. If you look at the part of the order, it is very clearly mentioned. If we go to one of the sections, it is very clearly mentioned that the applicant wants this XYZ charges to be applied.
See,
so there is no.
So they are the ones who are really driving this whole thing.
Exactly.
They are the ones who are coaching them, tutoring the victim. Okay, this is how you will be framing the case. So this is what you have to say.
Exactly. So they just file a case, attach a victim somehow, and actually
they decide, okay, this is how you have to frame. Then the whole story from the other way it starts
exactly
unfurling. Yes.
And actually this pattern, if we look at the attack which happened against the supreme pontiff of Hinduism.
Mm.
Now, when we enter into this pattern will become crystal clear because it is the extreme abuse of process of law of the whole state apparatus which happened against the supreme pontiff of Hinduism. Just we have a screenshot of a newspaper from the Times of India. The title of the newspaper is Paisa Feko Tamasha Dekho. It literally means throw money and see the drama, see the stage drama as if it is a mockery. And what they are highlighting, we just zoom into the first two paragraphs. We have highlighted it and we'll zoom into the first two paragraphs. It mentions Swami Nityananda got bail, which means Swamiji was arrested illegally that time. He was already arrested. Then he got bail and he was out of the illegal arrest. And they're mentioning in his complaint, Sri Lenin accused the Swami of rape, unnatural sex, criminal intimidation, and hurting religious sentiments. It is completely false. It is completely false, but understand the next paragraph, which is highlighted in yellow. It mentions, despite our best efforts, not a single victim has come to us stating that the Swamiji had unnatural sex with him or her or raped her.
Wow. So no victim is there, but the illegal arrest has happened, case has been filed, everything
Yes.
has been done, all drama has been done, the damage has been done, but the victim is nowhere.
How can you arrest somebody for raping nobody?
This is something which is beyond any imagination itself, Maharaj.
And it has been a thought which has been unexplainable, and when many of the monastic members and devotees and professional lawyers, they have done a lot of research on this. In all the 190 countries we know today, all the major 190 nations that we know today, if we look back in their history, last 1000 2000 years of history, in all 190 nations, there's no such case.
Without a victimless rape case.
Victimless rape case is not there in any country.
This is the first time it has happened.
It has first time
In
it
history
happened
of law.
in history of humanity.
Humanity.
And you file such a unimaginable fraudulent case, and somehow it is normalized in the society. How is this possible? You need to ask yourself. This is by the propaganda, media propaganda. What you're seeing in the outside is just there some case filed against some guru, but you need to look at what is happening behind, layer by layer, layer by layer. So we'll go.
Actually, see, we are talking to all the Hindus, especially the Hindu youth. We need to we need to understand it properly. All these attacks on Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, on all these other gurus, even on Shankaracharya, all these are not attacks on them. They are attacks on you. They don't want you to continue living as a Hindu. They want to destroy your progeny, your continuation, your entire generation. They want you to be wiped out from this planet. It is crystal clear, and that is how we have to understand it. Then only when we understand it clearly, we accept the fact, okay, this is the truth, this is the current reality, then only we can do something about it. We Hindus are suffering with this whole syndrome of, just being complacent. We are not even understanding. We are completely confused, and we are just seeing this as a drama. Okay, okay, some attack has happened. Media is showing. Some journalists are shouting on the screen. Okay, it will go for some time, then something else will happen. We don't understand the damage it is causing you, all the viewers. What is potential is. If we talk about Kashmir, what has happened to Kashmir in 1991? Movies have come now, even shows are coming. Right now, only we are understanding okay, the extent of the damage that has happened. It did not start that day. It did not start in 1991, not even in 1947. It started when they destroyed the Enlightenment ecosystems in Kashmir, when they targeted and killed all the gurus, when they killed all the incarnations who were actually functioning, who were actually taking care of the ecosystem, the Enlightenment Hindu ecosystem in Kashmir. The once you destroy the guru, eliminate the guru, the whole ecosystem collapses. And once the ecosystem collapses, it's very easy to just kill those people because they don't have any leadership, they don't have any direction, they don't have any grounding in what their future is, what their purpose in life is. That is what all the Hindu youth are facing today. They don't have any grounding in reality. Who they are, where they are going, all they really are living is just a propaganda of the Western consumerism. That is where this whole thing has to be looked at. Attack on Swamiji is attack on all the Hindus because Swamiji is here for all of us. Attack on him is attack on us, and this is all the instruments they are using to attack Swamiji, to attack all the Hindu gurus and eliminate the Hindu civilizational nation.
Exactly. And the attack has gone so deep. They are capable of attacking your very ideology and making you a part of their forces. That is the most scariest part. Because now they don't need you physically dead. They just need to ideologically kill you or your true identity as a Hindu and implant all their anti Hindu ideologies, and then you become a new pawn
Yes.
in their war against the indigenous civilization. And let us go back and understand what is behind the scenes. We are just hearing the false cases, but let's see what is happening behind the scenes. So going back to 2009, 8, 2008, 2009, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was reviving Hinduism in entire South India, and he brought back more than.
Look at just the crowd, Maharaj. Look at the crowd that was there. See, many people don't know how much of work Swamiji was doing before 2010. How many people he converted back into Hinduism,
Exactly.
right? And what his following was at that time. That then they will understand why he was attacked at that time.
Exactly. See, you can have followers of singers, you can have followers of pop stars,
Yes.
but they are not a threat to anybody. If somebody goes to a football match, that somebody is not a threat to the people, the modern civilizational, the modern nation state machinery, deep state, which is power hungry and utilizing hijacking all the state apparatus to attack the indigenous civilization. They are not interested if you are a famous footballer and you have a large following, or you put all the footballers together, you put all the movie stars put together, and you put all their followers together. That whole crowd is meaningless for them because they don't matter, because they are already indoctrinated in the system, in the matrix, where they are living the consumeristic lifestyle, where they can be bought for votes, where they can be convinced to buy stuff which they do not need, where their health can be made into a business, and they can be made into modern slaves working in the machinery which they developed in the guise of modern middle class lifestyle.
Yes. Yes.
So here we have Swamiji reviving and reinitiating more than 300,000 people back to Hinduism. And we see the deities of Paramashiva and Devi, Nityanandeshwari, Paramashiva Shakti. They were going on a massive procession throughout South India, blessing more than 10 million people. That is why it is called Kodikan Yatra, where the deity sees more than 10 million people. And here we see Swamiji is conducting, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is conducting a massive program on Bhagavad Gita. It was attended by more than 3 lakh people. And we have footage, we have records of that time. And this is where the
Actually,
attacks
this is
come.
where they actually, got this idea of, this man has really, he has the potential to actually do something which we don't want anyone to do.
Exactly. And one of the um, intelligence department personnel from the state came and personally told that Swamiji is the largest crowd pulling Hindu guru in the history of Tamil Nadu state.
Largest crowd pulling Hindu guru in the history of Tamil Nadu.
Yes, he meant in the sense of the whole of South India.
Okay.
And this is where the attacks on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism starts. So we just saw how they put a false allegation on Swamiji of rape. Rape of nobody. How can you rape nobody and not a single person is there whose eyebrow goes up? And let's see what they are doing in the guise of this misinformation. They chase the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism of over 3,000 kilometers trying to assassinate him. All the way starting from South India, starting from Salem, starting from all the way going to Viddi and then Tiruvannamalai, and actually starting from Tiruvannamalai going to Viddi and finally going to Pondicherry, and from Pondicherry going to Haridwar. A whole 3,000 kilometers of endless chase trying to kill the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. This is happening in less than a week's time, overnight. This is happening, and they shut down, they set on fire, rapidly, forcibly closed more than 50 temples, monasteries, and centers. So you can see this is happening in one day. But what are we seeing? We are seeing a victimless rape case, and people are normalized. There's a rape case, so it is justified to shut down 50 temples. It is justified to kill people, burn people alive. Why? Because it's a rape case.
See, if we actually just have one look at these two slides, it's very clear this whole thing is a joke. Very bad joke, but a joke. The very reason nobody knows it is because how the media has played this game, how it has spread the misinformation, hidden the truth completely, just completely bombarding all the channels with this false information, and that is what has etched into the brain of the people. And they don't even know what the truth is, and the truth is so simple to see, and so what to call it even?
Exactly.
It's a joke.
It is a very cruel joke, and let's just see this practically. If you look at this particular slide, this is a newspaper. You can even now Google, you put type this phrase, Paisa Feko, comma, Tamasha Dekho, and such Times of India. You will find this article. It is published online, and there it was published in print both. You go to the first paragraph and second paragraph and read. Even today, you will find this line. It is in the public domain. It is declared that Swamiji was illegally arrested. He was falsely accused of rape without a victim, and the police is going to the extent of saying, despite our best efforts for what? For finding a false accuser? The best effort should be to establish justice, but the best efforts is put to somehow falsely frame Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, of false charges of rape. To the extent, if you look at the other newspaper clip from the same Times Now network, it is from the Times Now network, they are mentioning the CID has invited more information about cases lodged against Swami Nityananda's ashram in Bididi. The sleuths have promised to protect informants' identity. Travel and other costs will be provided. They are openly bribing people. They are openly bribing people. And what is happening in the background? In the background, they are killing people. They are breaking banners. They are setting banners on fire. They are setting huts on fire with people inside. And
finally, in Birdi, they even set the headquarters of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism on fire in an attempt to burn him alive. That is the whole the conspiracy. Create a full mass hysteria and finish him off. That was the core conspiracy here.
So you can see these are newspaper clips from that era. You can see how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's living quarters in the headquarter, in the global headquarter of the mission of Kailasa, of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, they invaded, trespassed into the headquarters and set the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's own living quarters on fire with him locked inside.
They locked him up and set the whole thing on fire, and this whole thing they live telecasted on TV. This is the level of the media, how corrupt, how inhuman, and how inconscientious they have become. There is not even a little bit of shame in them that instead of forget about trying to save and all that, live record a massacre, live record a genocide and a killing at a murder attempt on live television.
Just see this. Completely shameless, completely criminally, they are projecting a live assassination attempt, and they have completely normalized people to accept it. Can you imagine the level of criminality? You can see the news channel, you can see the mic of which brand, of which news channel is holding, and which channel is broadcasting what they are saying. Everything is on record, and you see the archival footage of the policeman just standing there, just standing and doing what? How the state authorities, the deep state actors are involved directly and complicit. The deep state actors are directly complicit in this assassination attempts.
See, that's what we are trying to say. How they are using the whole machinery of the modern nation state, all the political tools, legal tools, to carry out their own mission of destroying the, the underlying civilizational nation, with the gurus being the leaders or the nurturers of those civilizations. And this is how they are doing. We are seeing live how media and the deep state compromised authorities are coming together, complicit in this crime, civilizational crime of uh, not just attacking the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, but literally attacking the whole Hindu civilization itself.
Exactly. Sampradaya by sampradaya, sampradaya by sampradaya, community by community, they are destroying and dismantling Hinduism right in front of our eyes. And they just cover it up with one false case. They don't even need a victim. That is the dirty joke on us. And people are not ready to wake up. That is what is criminally negligent Hindus. If you are looking at this newspaper, you are seeing that Swamiji is falsely accused. He was illegally imprisoned, he was illegally arrested, and on the false charges of rape, and they didn't have one victim. They didn't have one evidence. The police is going around the place to place, media to media, Facebook and Twitter. They are going in social media. They are begging for victims. They don't have a victim. They are not ready to close the case. They are somehow keeping the case alive. It is very obvious there is no victim. This is a world's only victimless rape case. And with this itself, they are able to normalize such a huge attack and shutting down forcibly 50 temples and centers overnight were burnt and closed. This was possible because of the massive hate speech perpetrated by the sophisticated media mafia that is politically owned by the anti-Hindu deep state elements who use this anti-Hindu media to poison each and everyone and normalize all their attacks against the Hindu civilizational nation, the indigenous people. So you need to understand how sophisticated it is and how they deceive people and completely dismantle the entire Hindu civilizational nation.
And when we see all of these tools and institutions that we see in the modern day, all of these, when we see compromised, all of these we see sabotaged and taken in control by these anti-Hindu forces, we are left with simple question that where do we go, right? What is that institution where which will really serve the purpose of protecting Hindus, of maintaining the ecosystem, which the Hinduism is supposed to do, right? It is the responsibility of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the Hindu civilization, to maintain this ecosystem and nurture the entire humanity with this science. But we don't have any legitimate institution, whether the nation states, modern nation states, or their in judicial systems, legal systems, the media networks, everything is compromised, everything is bought up. So, where do Hindus go? Hindus need a nation, a sovereign Hindu nation, which is actually working for Hindus, which actually represents Hindus, which actually raises the voice of Hindus, which works for Hindus, and which actually applies the constitution as given by Paramashiva, not by human beings, not by unenlightened human beings, no matter how great they are. But Paramashiva is Paramashiva. He has already laid down the constitution how human beings are supposed to live. So Hindus are supposed to follow that. But there is no place on planet Earth right now, except one, we'll come to that, but there is practically no place where Hindus can live in an ecosystem guided by an enlightened master, and where the original Manudharma Shastras and the Vedic and Agamic constitution applies. That is what is very important for us here to understand, that when it comes to the attack on Hindus, nobody is going to stand for us. Nobody means nobody. Whatever we may think, they may talk about Hinduism, they may talk about protecting Hinduism and standing for Hindus, but unless someone is really applying the Hindu principles when it comes to these institutions, it is very clear they don't really mean what they say. There is not a single place on planet Earth for Hindus where they can practice Hinduism without fear, without subjugation, without any interference by non-Hindu laws, non-Hindu practices, non-Hindu ideologies. That is why a Hindu nation, a sovereign Hindu nation is important. That is why a sovereign Hindu guru is important, right? We were talking about how Shankaracharya himself established sovereign gurus, sovereign Shankaracharya, whose laws and whose jurisdictions even kings could not interfere in.
So we'll come back to that, and
Yes.
let's understand what Shankaracharya did. Shankaracharya is none other than Paramashiva himself. Paramashiva incarnated, and again Paramashiva has incarnated in his greatest full Paramavatara form, a complete incarnation, which is the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Shri Nityananda Paramashiva. In his complete incarnation, Paramashiva has come back to do the same, but giving it a next level breakthrough to what Shankaracharya had done. So, what Shankaracharya had done during that time was he made four major mutts, and they preserved the Enlightenment ecosystem. Now, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has taken the whole thing to the next level, where we are going beyond the South Asian subcontinent. All around the world, Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, is establishing Kailasa in multiple countries in every continent, right from Oceania, Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia, South America, North America, everywhere. So the effect of checks and balances of preserving, if one or the mutt is attacked, the others will balance it. It is taken to the next level of taking the whole system to the global level.
Yes.
In such a way,
And all of them with sovereign legal protection also,
exactly,
according to the international law.
Exactly. And let's look at what Shankaracharya had mentioned. And he has stated very clearly, and we'll just go to the particular.
So this is the constitution which Shankaracharya, Adi Shankara, he laid himself when he established the four mutts, the Amnaya Pithas, right, as they are called in traditional Sanskrit. All these four pithas he established, and then he laid down the formal constitution on how these mutts or how these institutions are supposed to function for ages and ages. Yes, madam, please continue.
So, Adi Shankaracharya had laid down the principles which are followed even today, that the sovereign should never interfere with any matter of the Shankaracharya, and they had actually engraved it in their copper plate, and we can see the word in Devanagari font. It is highlighted in yellow color, Guru Satta. So the ruling powers are declaring, let the indomitable perceptor power run the world uninterrupted and in well manner according to distinct laws like our royal power. So what they are basically stating is that they are acknowledging that the Shankaracharya, which is the ecclesiastical, Hindu ecclesiastical sovereign power, it should continue in the same way. And further, they are saying that we, the Brahmins and Kshatriyas, will be following this code of conduct. In this, a very important word which we wanted to bring and highlight is the word which is Guru Satta, the rule of the Guru. It is recognized during Adi Shankara's time and engraved in the copper plates that the Guru Satta has to be preserved in its all glory and sovereign status. That is the thing which is now being done
Actually,
at level of Kailasa.
yes, actually, just before we enter into that, it's something very which we hear a lot of times, even among the the younger generation. Okay, if he's a guru, then why does he need to involve in politics? Why he has to have a rule? Why does he need to have a ruler or a kingdom or a nation? He just can be, like a sannyasi. He just can be spiritual, give spiritual teachings. We don't understand a guru is actually sovereign as per the Shastras, as per the Dharma itself. Our the Shastras, our doctrines have made Guru not just as a it's like the new age kind of a Guru. That picture is being spread in the current day, where just giving some teachings, some vague ideas, and making them meditate. That is not the idea actually in Sanatana Hindu Dharma. In Sanatana Hindu Dharma, a Guru is actually the sovereign head of that whole region, of that whole ecosystem, and not even the king who has only the jurisdiction on the civil law or the criminal law, but Guru is above that. His sovereignty goes beyond that of the king himself.
Exactly. And there have been various verses which are mentioning this, and we have also projected that. So, this is what exactly is happening at the level of Kailasa. The whole mechanism which the Supreme Pontiff, which Adi Shankara himself had developed, is being revived at a global level.
Yes, so fundamentally, the idea is that in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the civilizational continuity, the maintenance of Dharma, which is the paramount purpose of life itself, is taken up by the Guru. It is the Guru of that ecosystem who is responsible for keeping the Enlightenment ecosystem alive. Guru is the core of everything. And that is why the entire civilizational nation, the Hindu civilizational nation, has been again and again attacked mainly by destroying the Hindu gurus. From time immemorial, how the Guru Parampara has been destroyed, how the Gurukuls have been destroyed. Why do you think if every village had a school, or every village, actually, we call it a Gurukul, it's not a school in the modern sense, every village had a Gurukul, all of those had been wiped out, right? Why? Because they knew, the colonizers knew the importance of the Gurus, and Gurukul was like their lab where they would nurture the future generations in becoming leaders of establishing and maintaining Dharma. And that is why all the gurus have been attacked, they have been eliminated. And now, when the incarnation himself has happened, reviving the entire Sanatana Hindu Dharma, all of these forces have come together, joined hands, and left and right attacking him using all of their machinery. They have used the media, they have used the judiciary, they have used the executive, they have used the legal system, everything, whatever machinery they have in place, overt and covert, everything they have used and applied to attack the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism globally. Now, even when he has established Kailasa as the sovereign Hindu nation, since Hindus don't have a place, they don't have a homeland, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has created and established the Hindu homeland. That is what Kailasa is, the sovereign homeland for all the Hindus, all the persecuted Hindus. And he has established it in multiple locations, sovereign locations across the globe. And again, these forces are continuously trying to attack, trying to sabotage his mission. But he goes on, contributing and establishing and expanding more because he is Paramashiva himself. He has already declared his victory. That is why this Hindu Holocaust Day we also celebrate as Vijayotsavam. See, that is that is his charisma. The day they attacked me, that is when I already won. Right? That is one day, that is the day when these anti-Hindu forces committed suicide. Because by attacking an incarnation, you are finished. When Jarasandha attacked Krishna, it was suicide for him. Right? When Ravana abducted Ma Sita, it was suicide. That day itself was suicide for him. Later on, it's just logistics, how that actually plays out. But the day he committed that crime, he was finished. Similarly, now in today's age, the incarnation who has landed, when these anti-spiritual forces first attacked him, that is the day they committed suicide. And that is the day the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism already won the game. So it is for all of us Hindus to come together and join hands and support Kailasa, to support Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and be a part of the sovereign Hindu nation, Kailasa. Because only by joining hands, only by supporting and coming together can we really become hands of the great work that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is doing. And only by that can we really fulfill all our ancestors who have suffered, and fulfill us and fulfill all our progeny in the coming future generations as well.
And exactly all our ancestors, the 500 million Hindus who have been massacred, who were brutally killed in this Hindu Holocaust, they decided not to convert. They had an option. They could have just given up on Hinduism and they might have survived. They did not. They chose not to. Why? Because they preserved this sacred gift for us to live. If today you are Hindu, it's because of their sacrifices. If tomorrow, after your death, your next generation is going to offer you Shraddha, offer you the rituals after the elders have left the body, it is only if you preserve Hinduism. If you behave
Yes.
in a criminally negligent manner, you will not have fruits preserved for the next generation. You will not have the fruits of Hinduism for yourself to get liberated after death. You will not have any place to take rebirth as a Hindu. If you are a Hindu, you know you have multiple births. You don't just go into hell and heaven. You have multiple births and you have the possibility of liberation. And if you want to get liberated, you need a Hindu body. For you to have a Hindu body, you need to protect the Hindu enlightenment ecosystem. Otherwise, as we understand, Sanatana Dharma is eternal, but it can be wiped from geography.
Yes. And Kailasa is justice done to all those Hindus who have suffered during the Hindu Holocaust. Success of Kailasa is success of Hindus. Success of Kailasa is victory for all the Hindus. Success of Kailasa is justice done to this cause of reverting the entire Hindu Holocaust and establishing, reviving the Sanatana Hindu civilization again on planet Earth. So, with this, I thank you, Maharaj, for joining us for today's podcast. And all the viewers, please like, share, and also comment if you have any questions, if you have any other suggestions, and doubts. So, we will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. So, for today, we'll take your leave. Nityananda.